for Patty.
You good? So some people are made to bamboozle, and my brother Stephen was born that way. He was just kind of born different and goofy, and I was his muse because I was 18 months younger than him. Now, understand, he had to deal with 7 brothers before him, or sisters, and then there were 3 under us. And so Steve used to take the 3 of us, the younger ones, and make us run races and say, you know, the first person who wins, wins. I would win because I'm the oldest, and I would win. He goes, what's my prize? And he'd slap me in the face, and I would do it repeatedly. But on the other hand, Steve also taught me important things like how to count. And when I was 6 years old, he had to walk me to school, and he was 7. And I learned to count to 17 because that's how many steps I had to be behind him at all times. And then he taught me to throw a football. And so we went out to a prairie, which on the southwest side of Chicago was a vacant lot with a bunch of like beer cans in it. And he goes, you know, go out and run to the back to the fence, and I'm going to throw this long line. You turn around and catch it, and I'm running. And I turn around, and there's Stephen. He's home at home eating dinner, you know, and it's really sad. So anyway, and as we got older, this kind of didn't change. And when I was a teenager and starting to date, Steve was known very popular, and he was known to be tough for some reason. And he thought it was really funny to tell everybody he would beat them up if they wanted to go out with me. So I didn't have a lot of dates in the public school. And one time I went to a party, and I'm noticing like some of his friends were there, but people really weren't talking to me. And I found someone to talk to me. I said, "What's up?" And he goes, "Your brother's in the back room telling people they're going to break bottles over their heads if they talk to you." So that kind of killed the dating scene. And so, anyway, one thing we did when we were growing up, though, at about 9 and 10, is we were old enough to stay up, but nobody else was home, so we would watch creature features together. And this is a huge deal for us on a Friday night. And the people across the street, they owned a pizza place. And at about 10 or 11, they would always deliver pizzas that somehow weren't picked up that time. And so we were thrilled, but I loved eating the pizza, but I was always afraid because I didn't know when in the dark and the monster was coming, Steve was going to grab my leg or something, you know, to scare the heck out of me. So anyway, so Steve and I, we grew older. Steve became a policeman, and I became, yeah. They thought that was funny too, but anyway, so he became, Anyway, and at 15 years went by, and he tried to get on the Chicago Fire Department. So he makes it on the fire department, and he's excited. We're going to see each other more. We both had 2 kids. I was a social worker. And I get this call, and Steve was training on the department. He was number 1 in his class, and he had an accident. He had to jump from a scaffold onto this balloon that inflated, and it pre-deflated, and he basically injured his head, and he died. And so now we had the funeral, and it was the first person in the family, and he was a cop and a fireman. And so the south side of Chicago was literally shut down. And Stephen used to keep an eye on the aunts, my 2 aunts, Aunt Mary and Martha, and Ann. There are 3 of them, but 2 of them were married, 1 to a fireman, 1 to a cop. So my Jewish husband and I take Mary and or Martha and Ann with us in the car to the 10-mile long ride from the church to the cemetery. And every intersection, there's policemen, and all the policemen are sitting there. And my aunts, my Martha, who's married to the car, was going, "Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph." My husband's looking at me like, "What the hell is going on?" I said, "Oh, just wait." So we go by the fire department, and Aunt starts going, her husband was a fireman, "Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Jesus, Mary, Joseph." Well, my husband will never go back to church again. He was so thrown. He said, "Oh my God." And I knew Stephen thought this was hilarious, wherever he was. Okay? And so anyway, after the funeral, we have to go to this Tony, the guy, his father, owned the pizza place. We all went to this pizza place afterwards. And I'm going on, and I go up to Tony, and I go, "You know, I remember creature features and how you guys used to bring us those pizzas, and this was so fabulous." And he goes, and my sister-in-law, Mary Rose, Steve's wife, you know, she's in grief, but she's going, "Patty, quiet, quiet. And I said, what are you talking about? And she goes, Patty, and she grabs me over and she goes, Stephen was in the basement calling in those pizzas with funny voices every day so they didn't pick them up and they would deliver them over to our house during Creature Feature. So here's his funeral, and he's kidding me. His funeral, So anyway, so my kids, he has 2 kids that grew up to be great kids, and my kids, and I see a lot of my Stephen and those kids, and what I did learn is we still remember him now because, like Lincoln said, it's not the years in your life, it's a life in your years.